Hello, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours. It is Tuesday, it's 9 a.m., and we're here to answer your questions. So, as we do every week, I always want to make sure to let everyone know kind of the scope and the breadth of these kinds of sessions. So, we're here to answer your questions. If it's about Alexa, if it's about Alexa development, software development, voice design, ambient computing, we're here to do our best to answer your questions about those topics today. And I have the good fortune of also having Tony Cordova here with me today. He's a solution architect on the Amazon Pay team. And so if you have any questions about Amazon Pay specifically, I'd love to have Tony field them because it is not my area of expertise. I've certainly played with it, but not in the way that Tony has the experience. So welcome, Tony. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
So we have a bunch of folks here in the chat, a bunch of the regular faces that we see week to week. Hawk 2000 and Gavin Watson and Brian Tarbox and Habuba1. I see Crazy Tech 44. I don't know your name before, but welcome. Alan Furstenberg is here. Don is here. So we've got Paul Cutzinger in the house. That's a fantastic thing to see. So welcome to everybody. We've got folks from Brazil and Australia. The room is filling up quickly. So Tony, as we get started here and we start thinking about Amazon Pay, I want to let everybody know that we were only able to steal Tony away for a half an hour. So we only have him for the first half hour of the show, which is totally fine. But I want to make sure that we're focused on the Amazon Pay topics that anyone may have during that time. So my first question for you, and I think this is a good idea for everybody, is if you can kind of give us an overview for those that may not be familiar. A, what is Amazon Pay, and how does Amazon Pay relate to Alexa?
Sure. Yeah. Amazon Pay is simply the externalization of the Amazon Pay wallet so that third-party merchants can utilize the Amazon Pay services on their websites or Alexa skills. So that allows any of the Amazon customers to use their payments and wallets that already exist in their account and use it to pay for real world goods and services in your Alexa skill. So with that said, how it relates to Alexa skills, for merchants or developers who want to sell real world goods and services through their skill, they can integrate Amazon Pay in as simple as 2 different APIs to make that payment happen. And I'm very specifically saying the term real world goods and services because the alternative would be consumed within the skill itself, and that would be a different service called in-skill purchasing. Right. So there's a distinct difference between the two, and very specifically, one more time, Amazon Pay only works with real-world goods and services, so physical items that you may be sending or shipping to customer in real life.
Got it. So the example I've used for quite a few years is the idea of an axe. If I'm playing an adventure game in an Alexa skill, and I need an axe to defeat the big boss that's in the game, that's in-skill purchasing because it's a digital virtual axe that I'm using. But if I need a real axe to chop wood at my house, Amazon Pay is the thing that I would use to order that axe for very different purposes, right? So Don, thank you for that. I'm sorry, I said Don. Tony, I wanted to get to Don's question. So Don has a question that kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about anyway. And so I'll read Don's question, but I want to make sure that we're talking about the specifics around what Amazon Pay is best used for. And Don's question kind of really hints at that, which is, if I wanted to build an Amazon Pay for Alexa skill, what types of products are kind of the sweet spot? What are the things that we see people today building Alexa skills with, and what are the kinds of products that they seem to be successful with?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So really, because an Alexa skill traditionally has been voice first. Obviously we have multimodal devices nowadays. The simpler the product and the less diverse of options, the better it tends to sell. So, for example, if you're selling an axe, as you brought up earlier, that's pretty easy for folks to understand with their mental model of what an axe is. Perhaps you're a very popular axe manufacturer that develops a single axe. And so that's easy for customers to understand by voice first. Alternatively, if you're selling a t-shirt with many different designs and sizes and variations and options and colors, all of that complexity makes it a little bit more difficult to sell by voice only. And I'm specifically saying voice only because we want to design voice first. Of course, you can augment that experience in multimodal devices where you can display what a lot of these variants would look like. In those situations, these more complex type of items may be easier to monetize and sell through that avenue.
Got it. So let's use that T-shirt example, because that was actually something I had been thinking about. Is if I have, let's say I have like this Ohio sweatshirt, or you know what, we'll do one better. Let me take the sweatshirt off, and we'll use. I promise there's a T-shirt underneath. Let's say that I have this Alexa T-shirt, right? And I make this Alexa T-shirt. I have this graphic. I can put it on any T-shirt I have, and I offer 30 different colors of T-shirts: long sleeve, short sleeve, all of that kind of stuff. The recommendation you're making is that itself would be pretty challenging, because not only do I have 30 different colors and I have long sleeve and I have short sleeve, but I also then have to offer probably like 8 or 10 different sizes also, right? From like XXX down to like small. But it's not impossible, right? Like that's something that it technically could be done. It's just that it's a much more challenging interface for a user, as you said, especially in a voice-only world. Do you want a gray one? Well, here's the colors we offer, or tell us what color you want, and we'll see if we can give it to you, because we're not going to read off 30 colors to people. We're not going to list every possible option and then have them pick one. So what you're saying, though, is that it's really just a challenge of the voice interface, not so much the selling of the product.
Yeah, exactly. And, when you're developing a skill where you're trying to sell something, we're not trying to recreate a website and port that into an Alexa skill. That's truly the last thing you want to do. A website can contain hundreds, if not thousands of items and thousands of variations, and you don't want to sit there and list every single category, every single option. You want to cater that experience to that user, to that customer, and perhaps offer like the best sellers or the best colors, or the things that are the items that are most purchased. So you can cater the experience and dwindle down the options to make that a little bit better.
Excellent. Yeah, that makes sense. Sell the things that already sell well, and by restricting choices, we see this in all sorts of games and things too. We could offer them 30 different options, but let's focus on the 5 that are the most important right now. Giving them the option, of course, to say, do you have a green one? Well, yeah, we could probably still offer that. But as we think about that voice experience kind of funneling down, we're steering them in a way that makes it easiest for the customer.
Yeah. And my favorite, have an Alexa voice exclusive where you can only get this one item through the Alexa skill itself.
Yeah. Oh, that's smart. I like that. So if you want the Alexa blue colored T-shirt, right, then you got to order it from the skill. You're not going to find that in other stores. That's a cool idea. I like that. Exclusivity is always good. I've gotten big into baseball cards as a result of this pandemic, something I had as a child. And it's just amazing to me the kind of exclusivity they've built into all sorts of different products in that world. It's absolutely amazing. But that kind of thing is really attractive and appealing to people. So I like it.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. A couple of other good questions in here. And maybe you can just give a little more specifics. I know I introduced your title, but the question from Don on YouTube was, what is your day-to-day job on the Amazon Pay team?
Yeah, boy, I'll try to simplify that answer as much as possible. I wear many different hats, but at the end of the day, the most important thing, or the most important part of my role, is to help merchants integrate Amazon Pay into their platforms and services. So at the end of the day, that's the number one priority of my role, is to help merchants and developers integrate our services into their platforms. In addition to that, I do many other things. So part of it is evangelism, which is why I'm part of this show as well. Go to a lot of conferences, developer conferences. I help teach people from that perspective. And then internally, we have a lot of tasks where we work with many different teams on the marketing side and developer side, and product and voice of the customer. So we do a lot of different things, but essentially I'm here to help people use Amazon Pay. That's my number one function.
Cool. All right. Brian Tarbox on Twitch says, if I want my skill to sell something on Amazon.com, do I use Amazon Pay or do I use something else?
Yeah, so that one I'll defer to you, Jeff, just because I learned about this service today. I suspect you'll have a much better answer than I.
Yeah. So Brian, the answer to this question is if you're selling products that are like you're trying to make the transaction happen through Amazon.com, and I guess we should clarify that if you sell, let's like I have this phone stand, right? Like I have this little base and it screws onto a tripod, whatever. Let's say I sell these and I sell them on Amazon. If I can sell them in other channels also, then yeah, you could use Amazon Pay because now you're fulfilling them independent of Amazon.com and the Amazon infrastructure. You just happen to have a warehouse full of these parts, and you can sell them on Amazon, or you could sell them out of your warehouse yourself. So from that perspective, yes, you could. What your question specifically was, I want my scale to sell something that's on Amazon.com. So let's take it a step further. You only offer your product on Amazon. Let's say you're using fulfillment by Amazon, so all of your products happen to already be in an Amazon warehouse. In that case, Amazon Pay is not the solution for you. And maybe we should build some kind of grid that kind of lays these things out, Tony. Maybe we could work together on that.
Yeah.
If you have your own products that are in an Amazon warehouse and you want to sell them on Amazon.com, the answer today is the Alexa Shopping Kit. And that is something that was newly announced at Alexa Live. But the Alexa Shopping Kit enables you to pick a product, pick what we call an ASIN, an Amazon identification number, and it allows you to say, hey, I want to sell this product in my skill. The user will go through the standard purchase process. Do you want to buy this? Here's how much it is. You say yes, it charges their credit card, and then it is shipped to them at their default address. That is what the Alexa Shopping Kit gives you versus what Amazon Pay gives you. The third twist to this is that you want to sell something on Amazon.com that you don't own. You want to sell someone else's product, but it's a benefit to your customer. I've used a number of examples of this, but let's say you have a skill that provides yoga services. So maybe it's walking people through exercises or all sorts of stuff. And there's a yoga mat that you love. It's your absolute favorite, but you don't make it. You just happen to really love this product and you think it'd be great for your customers too. The Alexa Shopping Kit also solves that problem. So you don't have to, with the Alexa Shopping Kit, you don't have to use your products. You can use anything that's sold in the marketplace of the locale that your skill lives in. Does that make sense? And right now, this is only available in the US. But as this continues to roll out, you're not selling things on Amazon.com. You might be selling them on Amazon.in in India or Amazon.co.uk in Great Britain. So it'll depend on what marketplace the skill lives in, and that's the marketplace that it'll use for selling the products. But that's a long way of saying, yes, there is a difference, and you only use Amazon Pay when you're selling products yourself. You are doing the fulfillment. You're managing all of that. Was that a fair statement, Tony? Anything you disagreed with?
Yeah, no, that's all 100% accurate. To add a little bit more color to the Amazon Pay side, we're generally geared towards merchants and brands who are registered businesses that, again, sell and fulfill their own products through their own means. So, as an example, merchants that are using Amazon Pay are folks like Hulu and Sling, Lenovo, brands from that nature. Generally, we are not like individual people selling kind of their own personal items. This is for merchants that are selling products.
Right. Perfect. This is another question that you and I may not have the answer to this, but I'll ask it and we can talk about it.
Sure.
So Don has said, I've tried and I've failed at certifying an Amazon Pay skill, a skill that uses Amazon Pay. Do Amazon Pay skills go to a certification team that has specific knowledge or experience with Amazon Pay? And I think the reason he's asking this, because I've talked with Don a bit in the past. I think the question he's asking and the concern he's expressing is that he feels like maybe sometimes our certification team doesn't have enough working knowledge about Amazon Pay to make an accurate assessment of whether it's being used properly or improperly and things like that. And like I said, you and I have talked about this, Don and I have talked about this, so we don't need to get into the weeds on this, but I'm just curious if our certification teams have a deep knowledge set related to Amazon Pay and its inner workings.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually part of the original team years back that helped develop Amazon Pay for Alexa skills. This was quite a few years ago. But at that time, and on an annual basis, we work with the certification teams to make sure that they understand what Amazon Pay is, because we, Amazon Pay, are kind of setting our own certification guidelines, but we have the Alexa org certification team kind of enforcing these guidelines. So we are consistently working with the certification team to make sure that, oh, my Alexa's chatting with me.
Yeah, I've got a whole pile of them here behind me, and I have to consistently go through and make sure they're all muted before we do this.
I did not get that memo. She's still talking. All right, but yes, we're constantly working with them, updating our certification guidelines. So we're definitely working hand in hand with each other.
Cool. So Data Driven Skills on Twitch said, can I sell a product that's on Amazon.com that is being sold by another vendor? Yes, you can do that, but that's going to use the Alexa shopping kit. But yeah, as I just described, that's something you can do. And then what Data Driven Skills kind of followed up with, I think he was typing this as I was speaking. So if you sell those phone bases on Amazon.com, I can use the shopping kit to sell those to your users. 100% yes. That is the purpose of the Alexa shopping kit, is to allow you to sell, I think it's any product on Amazon, but I'm sure I will be surprised and find out that there's a collection of products that you can't sell as you get into things like products that are specific for adults. We won't go further than that, but if you understand what I mean, I would guess maybe there are ineligible products for the Alexa shopping kit, but I haven't seen that documentation yet. I'll take a look and see if we can find anything in the docs about what is or isn't allowed. But in general, yeah, products that are available on Amazon.com should be purchasable.
Yeah, and if I can chime in there, Jeff,
Sure.
as you brought up kind of like prohibited items, for Amazon Pay, we have a very clear list of prohibited items and activities that we can and cannot sell.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I probably can't post a link. Nope,
if you share it in the private chat, I can post it.
Perfect. So on the Amazon Pay side, we do have an AUP. So we do have a list of clearly identified items that Amazon Pay merchants cannot sell. So sometimes if you're going through the certification policy and you hit those 10 things that are on the Alexa side, but there may be other items on the Amazon Pay side that also restrict what you can and cannot sell through a skill.
Exactly. And a lot of I'm looking at this list, which I posted in the chat for everyone. You will see that, in fact, a lot of these make a lot of sense. And there are a lot of skills that you're not allowed to build around the same kind of content, right? Drugs, alcohol, credit services, anything that's illegal. That makes sense. Things that offer miracle cures. I like that. I think that's probably a good one to have. But you guys can see that list there in the chat. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so Data Driven Skills is following up again, and he says, if I sell Disney t-shirts on Amazon.com, can I sell the Scrooge McDuck shirt that, I'm missing up pronouns here. If I, Jeff Blankenberg, sell Disney t-shirts on Amazon.com, can he, Data Driven Skills, sell the Scrooge McDuck shirt that I have on Amazon.com to his skills user? Will this get certified because he has no license for the Scrooge McDuck intellectual property and the Disney stuff? Now, there's obviously the assumption built in that I have the ability and the rights, the licensing, whatever is necessary to sell that product on Amazon.com, because I would have gone through their process to solve this. My understanding is yes. Yeah, I think yes, that you can. If it's available on Amazon.com, you should be able to sell it in your product within the realm of those restrictions that we just talked about with Amazon Pay. There's probably a list like that in our tech docs. I just don't have it in front of me here right now, but maybe one of my team behind the scenes might find a link for that. But as long as you follow the rules around Alexa Shopping Kit and what is and isn't allowed, then yeah, I think that you could sell anything that's available on Amazon.com. Let's see. The next follow-up question, these are great questions, Data-Driven Skills, is could I have a financial services skill? For example, balancing your budget a la Quicken. I'd have to look at the certification guidelines on that just for an Alexa skill, never mind the financial mechanisms you use to have someone pay for those things. There are rules and regulations, right, as we think about like a healthcare skill or HIPAA certified skills, where people are using, you're interacting with someone's protected healthcare data. while that's allowed, there are additional certification hurdles you have to go through. I don't know if that's true for finances as well, but I know that there are a number of banking institutions and other stock market organizations that allow you to interact with your portfolio, that allow you to pay bank balances or check bank balances, pay car payments, all of those kinds of things. So I think probably, but you definitely want to, if you guys as a whole, everybody that's watching should always do this. There is the Alexa certification guidelines. I'll go find that here really quickly. Alexa skill certification guidelines. This is, as far as building a skill, this is as close as a Bible as you're going to get about what the rules for do's and don'ts are. Yeah, I've got it here. So let me bring that into the chat. And if you haven't been to the certification guidelines before, or you haven't visited it recently, it does consistently get updated as new things are added or changed. But you'll see that we have policy guidelines, security requirements, things for HIPAA eligible skills. But that policy guidelines is the big one, the one that you really want to look at. There's things around healthcare, recommending skills, advertising, violence, religion, emergency services. There's all sorts of interesting stuff in here. And so there is a specific category around financial skills, and it says you cannot create a skill that fails to provide a disclaimer around the timeliness of stock quotes if you present stock quotes, and you cannot build a skill that accesses or provides access to personal financial information and either fails to meet financial skill guidelines or is intended for distribution outside the U.S. So you can build financial skills, and there are additional sets of rules that you have to follow, and the link is right there, but only in the U.S. So that's, again, always, if you have a question, go look at those certification guidelines. They are thorough. And if you don't find it in there, you should feel pretty confident that you're going to be okay. All right. So we have a few other questions that have come in, Tony, and I know we only have a few minutes left with you. So I want to focus on the questions specific around Amazon Pay. So Naveed, I see you on LinkedIn. I'm going to come back to your question. David Curley wants to know if we can use the shopping kit to build a skill whose primary purpose is selling, or does the selling aspect have to be complementary to the skill's main purpose? I haven't seen the specific guidelines on the rules here, but I think generally, I think it's fine. If you're using the Alexa shopping kit, I think if the primary purpose of the skill is to sell a thing, I can see lots and lots of vendors that would want to do just that, right? Running radio commercials that are like, hey, if you want to buy our thing, just say, and I won't say her name, but just say, I want to buy this, right? And that's the name of their skill or whatever it happens to be. And the whole purpose is to make it a very easy, simple voice interaction. I would be surprised if that's not allowed, but I've been surprised before. So again, I think the guidelines around the shopping kit will be the most beneficial to us here. Okay, let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything else financially related. David clarified here. So I'd be interested to know your thoughts on this one, Tony. The follow-up is, I want to build a gadget review skill, a lot like my board game skill, I think, as he's describing, where he's comparing the two top-selling products of a specific category, and then allowing the user to purchase one or the other. To me, that seems like a really excellent case for using the Alexa shopping kit if they're Amazon-based products. And if they're not, and you can sell them yourself, then I think Amazon Pay would work really well here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the case of, say, like, Lenovo is one of our merchants, and so if Lenovo were to create a skill comparing, one laptop versus the other, obviously maybe something less expensive than a laptop, but two different devices to another, they could recommend one and have you purchase through the skill. I think that's a great idea, and definitely possible through Amazon Pay as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then our Rubini on Twitch said, is there any date to launch Amazon Pay in Brazil? So this is one of the things I always love to remind people here in office hours. We get lots of questions about roadmap and future and dates and when am I going to get this thing? And unfortunately, we're not in the position to share that information. Most of the time, we don't know. I do my very best to kind of keep myself removed from that future roadmap calendar, because if I know, then I might say something, and I don't want to do that. But in the times even when I do know, there are there are a number of restrictions that we have, and it's part of the privilege of being able to provide this show to all of you, is that we can't share that kind of future roadmap stuff. So the thing I always remind people, because I get questions about when are we going to support a certain language, when are we going to have more voices, when will this feature be available in my locale, and the thing I'll always remind you is that it is our aspiration as Amazon to provide all of our services in every location. So I don't think you can ever think to yourself, oh, we'll never get that. My hope is that, in fact, you will. It just, some of these things take time to roll out appropriately, especially when you're talking about things that have financial implications. There are taxes and a number of other things that go into it. And we've got to work with those individual governments to make sure that we're following all of the rules appropriately so that we can offer those services in those locations. So it's not that we don't want to, it's not that we don't want to move fast, but we want to make sure that we're doing it properly so that we're not getting you stuck with tax implications, and certainly Amazon, we don't want to be stuck with those either. So that's a long way of saying we can't talk about the future. And as much as I would love to dig in and find out more about Amazon Pay in Brazil, I don't have any answers for you today. A. Witters is bringing some interesting news to light, but I don't see any other Amazon Pay situation questions or anything. So the last thing I'd love to ask you, Tony, before I let you sign off here at 30 minutes after, is if people are interested in Amazon Pay and they want to use it in their stuff, where would you recommend they get started?
Yeah, great question. So the easiest place to reach out to us would be pay.amazon.com. Let me put the link in the chat real quick. From there, it'll link out to our developer guides, which is the best place for developers to go and learn how to use our APIs and integrate Amazon Pay into their Alexa skills. And I'll put a direct link to our developer guides as well. 1 second. And in addition to that, we also have demo skills with Amazon Pay for Alexa integrated into our GitHub repository. So I pasted a link in the chat here as well.
Nice. A good link storm to sign off here.
But yeah, those 3 links are the best 3 resources to learn more about Amazon Pay for Alexa skills. And as always, there's a bunch of links in there to contact us in the websites, to reach out directly, and we'll always be happy to chat and help you learn how to integrate better.
Cool. Well, Tony, I want to thank you for taking the time today. I hope people learned a couple of things about Amazon Pay, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with you and your team again in the near future.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. It's been absolutely awesome. So this is my first time doing this with you. Apologies for not being able to hang out for the full hour. Perhaps next time we can schedule a longer duration.
We'll definitely make it happen, man. Thanks again for being here.
Awesome. Have a great day.
Take care. All right, I get to take up the whole screen now, everybody. You get to see my giant face. So I'm so glad Tony could be here, and hopefully you guys learned a little bit about Amazon Pay and how you can use it. So now I'm going to scroll back in my list. I know I skipped over some questions, and let's get back to those now, because now we'll go free for all style for the rest of the hour. So Naveed said, I have a problem with Alexa. I hope you can help me. I set a routine for my smart lamp for people being voice detected. It was amazing. And after I changed my modem's name, I couldn't use my smart lamp for people's voice detect. I uninstalled the app and reinstalled, removed the device and added it again, updated the Echo Dot and app in the last version, but none of them has worked. Naveed, I have good news for you. I've had this same problem. So as you look behind me, you might notice here, let me do some pointing for you. I have we use Thor as my pointer. Okay, so on this wall alone, I have a whole pile of Alexa devices. Each one of these light bars is Wi-Fi enabled. The bright lights that I'm staring at are Wi-Fi enabled. I have all sorts of things in this room that are smart home enabled. And about 1.5 years ago, I replaced my router. So I completely upgraded my entire system, all new router endpoints. It's a whole new mesh system, and it's incredible. I really am happy with it. But a lot of the smart home devices, one, they work on a lower frequency. So I'm forgetting the term right now, but you generally have 5G, and then you'll have the other term that someone will remind me here in a second. It's the lower frequency broadcast. A lot of times the newer routers won't broadcast on that frequency, which means the device itself isn't communicating very well. So the things that I saw you say, 2.4, thank you, everybody. I don't know why I couldn't remember 2.4. But so what you said is that you changed your modem's name, and then you couldn't use your smart lamp anymore. My suspicion is that it was trying to talk over a different frequency or maybe even a different channel than what your new setup is. And so my recommendation in almost all these situations is to reset up the device itself. I know you said you removed the device from the Alexa app and added it again, but in many cases, I find that you actually need to reset up the device itself. Hopefully, this will be solved with some of the future things that we're trying to solve with smart home. But that is the thing that has solved it for me, is that it just wasn't communicating anymore because it couldn't find its way back to my router, even though it had the same network name, it had the same network password, same protocols, all the stuff was the same. I still had some challenges there, and resetting the device solved all of those problems. So I don't know that will solve your problem, but I hope that it will. And that's one thing I always hoped I wouldn't have to do. Like, well, it seems like it's working in the app or whatever. But for whatever reason, there can be some challenges there. So let's see if that helps at all. All right, moving on to other questions. I got through a bunch of these already. Okay, now I can talk about the thing that A. Witters posted, which is the thing that I wanted to be excited about. So if you guys didn't hear, during Alexa Live, we talked about a new hackathon, and it launched today. It's called, well, I want to make sure I get the title right. Well, I'll actually go to the website. Yeah. Amazon Alexa Skills Challenge, Aging and Engaging. And the idea is to build Alexa skills for the 55 and up audience. So not necessarily old people. I'm not that far away from that demographic, but it's for people that are older, maybe coming up on retirement age or in retirement. And the idea is to build skills that specifically target and engage those kinds of people. Maybe it's helping them be more active or independent. There's all sorts of good information on that website, but there's prizes. So you could go build an Alexa skill, and I think they're giving $45,000 away. And they have all sorts of rules and things about what you need to do and follow. So make sure you read the official rules so you don't miss out on something. But the best overall skill is going to get $15,000. You'll also get a meeting with someone from Alexa. It doesn't have any specifics there. We'll call you out in a blog post. We'll make an announcement at the Voice Summit, which is an event coming up in October in Washington, D.C. So lots and lots of good stuff here, and prizes for a bunch of different categories and things. So please check it out. I'll be one of the judges. I am not easily influenced. Although if you are the most recent Mega Millions winner, I am influenced to a degree, but it's going to take a lot. So that's something to keep in mind also. So if you haven't seen that hackathon, or you weren't aware that was coming up, it launched today. You can get started. You can see the rules, all that stuff. And we're actually going to have, if I recall correctly, Heidi Culbertson is a colleague of mine. She was an Alexa champion before we brought her over to Amazon. And she is going to be on this show on August 23rd. So that's a couple of weeks from now, 3 weeks, in fact. And so in 3 weeks, if you have questions or things that you want to discuss with the person that owns this hackathon, make sure you get your questions ready. Build some stuff. Start thinking about what you want to do and how you want to do it, so that when she's here on air, you can chat with her about what you're doing with the hackathon. Okay, back to questions. And I'm starting to cough, which I don't love. Excuse me. David Curley liked my idea of just a simple grid that kind of explains what kind of products use which kind of service. Is it Amazon Pay? Is it in-skill purchasing? Is it Alexa Shopping Kit? Which one should I use? I don't understand. How can I do this? There's also a fourth option, which is roll your own, which is to use something like account linking, set up your own user accounts, set up your own credit card processing payment, all that stuff, and then allow users to account link their skill. They could say they buy a thing, they have a credit card on their account. A good example of this is something like Domino's Pizza. Right, I can talk to the skill. I can order a pizza. It knows where I want the pizza delivered. It knows my credit card information. It already knows all of that stuff with simple account linking. And so I can tell the skill, hey, I want to use pizza. And they're like, cool, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And they just handle it. They don't have to ask me what my address is. They don't have to get any of that credit card stuff set up because they've account linked everything away. So that is your fourth option. We should include that in the grid as well. Okay. So Brian Tarbox says he has some skill quality coach, skill quality score feedback. He added the fallback intent and his score went to 4.0. Awesome. And he says the actual Premier League starts on Friday, so I should see a traffic spike. Hopefully that gets me even higher than 4.0. That's amazing. So if you guys don't know, there's a couple of things that were announced at Alexa Live. I'm not going to go into them deep now, but you can dig into them. The first one is this Alexa Skill Quality Coach is available for developers in the US. And it allows you to basically have your score get a rating. And that score ranges between 1 and 5 with a decimal point. So a 4.0 is really good. Anything over 3.0 is really good. And it doesn't mean that if you have a 2.1, it's bad. It just means that in the grand scheme of measurement of quality, a 3.0 starts to really lean on the heavy side of great. So 4.0 is fantastic, Brian. Congratulations on that. But what this plays into is a new program that we also mentioned at Alexa Live called the Skill Developer Accelerator Program, SDAP. And so this program revolves heavily around the skill quality score and provides financial rewards for developers that are building cool things. So the higher your score is, the more rewards you will see. And so you can dig into looking up SDAP, Skill Developer Accelerator Program, as well as the skill quality coach and the skill quality score in our tech docs. You can see all that stuff there. Okay. Data-driven skills wants to know, how do you use the shopping kit? What features are here now? What features that were announced at Alexa Live 22? Well, when will those be available? How can I access them? All amazing questions. So I have a couple of answers for you here. First, let's talk about the implementation. How you use it, it is another bit of code that you pull into your skill. But at the end of the day, it works very similarly to in-skill purchasing. For those of you that have built an ISP skill before, you provide a product ID and you send a dialogue directive to Alexa that says, hey, the user wants to buy this, or I want to sell this to them. And then Alexa responds in her own language, trying to offer that product to the user and saying, do you want to buy this? Yes or no. And if the user says yes, then she sells it to them. You get a response back from the Alexa service saying, hey, they bought the product. They can go do whatever they want to do now. Or it says, no, hey, they chose not to buy that product. And then you can carry on as if they hadn't purchased it. So the same kind of idea applies to the Alexa Shopping Kit, except that you're providing an Alexa Shopping Kit dialog directive, and you're providing a very specific ASIN, again, that Amazon identification number from Amazon, as the product that you're trying to sell. So that's kind of the implementation part of how it works. What features are here now? How does it all work? That's the thing that's a little trickier, because my understanding is the Alexa Shopping Kit is still in developer preview, although I need to verify that. Maybe somebody behind the scenes can confirm that for me. But I think it's still in developer preview. If I do Alexa Shopping Kit, find it here quickly. No, it looks like I am wrong on that. It might actually be GA. So I'm taking another link from our docs and putting it here in the chat. And that is the tech docs for how to use the Alexa Shopping Kit. So take a look at that. Okay, backing up, finding more questions here. All right, a bunch of people reminding me about 2.4 gigahertz. It's perfect. Rocky Nash Live on YouTube says you'll get slower speeds when connected to 2.4, but you get a broader range. And if you use the 5 gigahertz network, you get smaller range but faster speeds. So just something to think about as you're thinking about devices. And so everybody's kind of confirming that, yep, I've had to reset my device. So hopefully, Naveed, hopefully that helps you and solves your problem. Brian Tarbox says he's giving a talk at Voice Summit. Let's have a coffee or drink together. I don't know if you're talking to me or everybody, but I will also be at Voice Summit. And Brian, I'd love to meet you in person. So let's do that. Tom Griffin on YouTube says the Over 55s hackathon is of interest to me. Well, I provided the link. I'll read it out loud just so you guys can get there. It's alexaskillsaging.devpost.com. In fact, I'll put it on the screen just to make it even more permanent, I guess. So we are looking at that URL, alexaskillsaging.devpost.com. And if you go there, I provided the link already. You can just click on that, or you can type this in if you don't have it. But that is where you get all the info on the hackathon. And like any good hackathon, there's lots and lots of rules and regulations and guidelines and whatever. I mean, it's a giveaway. So make sure you read those thoroughly so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Okay. Rocky Nash on YouTube says, super exciting for the skills challenge. I'm trying to get my mom to use smart devices more and would love to create a skill she uses. Totally agree. There's actually a great episode. Let me see if I can find this too. We're a link heavy day today. I like it. I'm going to go to Alexa developers on YouTube. And I want to find a very specific video because you just reminded me of a video that I helped put together. Is this it here? How long is this one? Nope, that's not it. Here it is. So don't play. Just give me the thing. Okay. So I'm going to share this link, and I'll tell you guys a little bit that you'll see the story if you watch the video. But there is, I had a nice opportunity to sit and talk with Mike Dooley, who is the CEO of a company called Labrador Systems. And if you guys haven't heard about Labrador before, they make a robot called the Retriever. And the point of this robot is to help people that need assistance around the home. Usually, maybe they have trouble walking or they don't have the arm strength. There's a number of reasons why you might need something like this. But at its core, Mike realized that his mom was having a lot of trouble taking care of herself, just being able to carry a laundry basket from one room to another. Or, she eventually got to a point where she wasn't even really able to get out of her chair. And so instead of trying to navigate her home, the robot does it for her. And she can say, go get some drinks out of the fridge, or go get my medicine, or things like that. Now, this is obviously a hardware solution versus just a true skills solution. But if you guys haven't had a chance to watch some of these Alexa Innovators videos, one, they're super inspiring. They have an incredibly good looking host, which is also nice. And it's really cool to kind of see the things that I'm the host. It's incredibly funny to me, not funny, interesting to me to see some of the interesting ways people have thought about using Alexa, whether that's for hardware or for software solutions, and to see the success they've had, the paths they've taken, the decisions they've made. I think it's a really interesting way to understand how people are thinking about Alexa. So anyway, if you haven't checked out that video, please do. Rocky Nash likes the Skill Developer Accelerator program. That's cool. Alan, this is a great point. We were talking about the Voice Summit that's going to be in DC. This is for me one of the two. There are two big events every year that are like the premier voice event, where people from the industry, the voice industry specifically, all kind of come together and share their ideas and thoughts and talks and everything. And one is the Voice Summit. It's coming up in October. The website is voicesummit.ai. And Alan just reminded me that the big discount on tickets, if you want to go, ends today. I didn't realize that. So if you want to go and you want to save some money on your ticket, go check that out. It's voicesummit.ai. Next question is from Hariji Pandey on LinkedIn. How can I onboard the Alexa team? I think what you're asking is, how can I work on the Alexa team? And I have a fantastic answer for you. There is a website. I'll see if I can bring this up here quickly. It is right here. You can go to Amazon.jobs, search for the word Alexa, and you're going to find about 1,000 things. We have so many openings, it is insane. And so if you're looking for a job on the Alexa team or just at Amazon in general, you'll find all of them listed there. There are software development engineer jobs. There are solution architect jobs. There are program manager jobs. There are TPM jobs. There's marketing jobs. There's all sorts of stuff. So if you want to work on the Alexa team, we've got openings. We just need you to apply. So Amazon.jobs is the place for that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Alan's giving 2 presentations. Super cool. I think I'm only giving 1, but I'll try to make it me. I'll try to make it worth it. I'll try to make it a good one for everybody. So Rocky says, can someone watch my Amazon Live store and shop with voice? Can I set up a shopping skill that lets subscribers know when I'm live? So you're talking about something that happens exclusively while you're broadcasting on YouTube or something like that. Have to think about that. There's a number of ways we could do this, right? We have a notifications engine with Alexa. So you could you could potentially, if users subscribe to your notifications, you could send them a notification on the device that like, hey, we're live right now. Now it would just be a yellow circle that would light up on their device, and they would say, what are my notifications? And it'd be like, hey, we just went live. You should check this out. And then they would have to like open your skill. But notifications work. That's a thing you can do. Otherwise, Rocky, I probably need a little more clarification on exactly what you mean by that. A. Witters says he's waiting for the Ascot trailer video. I think we're going to be waiting a little while on that one, unfortunately. There is so much content that still needs to come out of Alexa Live. And we have a backlog of a few of these innovators videos that we've made. So seeing me in a suit on video is, I think we're a little bit a ways from that. I don't want to set bad expectations, but I think it's probably going to be just a little while. I know those take a few weeks at minimum to put together, and I know we have a few ahead of them. So we'll see when that comes out. But if you guys all want to see me dressed up in something more than a t-shirt or a hoodie, that's going to be the place. For those of you that don't know, Ascot is a very prestigious, gorgeous horse racing track in the UK, and I was there a couple weeks ago. And to be on site during a race, you're in shirt and tie, full suit, the whole deal. And it was an amazing experience. I really had a good time. But as you guys probably guessed, I'm not much of a suit wearer, so it's kind of weird to see me in a slightly different costume. Okay. Habuma says, I'm presenting several Alexa Dev sessions at the Progressive Web Experience in December. It's not a voice-only conference, but you can't beat a conference that includes a beach break. Can't agree with you more. I'm actually speaking at an event called the Caribbean Developers Conference. And what's cool about it is, one, it's in the Dominican Republic. It's right on the beach in Punta Cana. And what I like about it is that 95% of the people that attend the event are from the Dominican Republic. So it's an event designed to bring bigger names and bigger technology to a location that would otherwise kind of be underserved. And the organizers are all people that are Dominican Republic natives that have gone on to have success at Google and Facebook and all sorts of other cool tech companies. And so they wanted to bring something back home and give people an opportunity to learn at home rather than having to fly to the United States or Europe or someplace like that to go see interesting conferences. Anyway, Progressive Web Experience sounds very cool also, Habuma. Conferences on the beach are awesome. Ariane Polakare on LinkedIn said, how will 5G impact conversational AI? Well, I mean, the big thing obviously is the breadth of devices that 5G can handle and the speeds at which it can handle it. So I think the conversational side of this question, how will it impact conversational AI? I don't know that it'll have a dramatic impact, but what I think it will have a big impact on is the volume of information we will have accessible to us to create context around those conversations. I'll give you a quick example. Today, we sell sensors, not we, but like in the general we, the grand human we sell sensors that you can put in places in your home where you think there might be a leak, like a water leak, or you suspect that, or you're worried that there could be a water leak in the future, like maybe near a sump pump or near where the water pipe comes into your house or something like that. But each one of those individually has to be powered and has to have a power cable that runs someplace and does all those kinds of things. With 5G, we have the ability to run battery-powered devices that are very small on these frequencies, which means you could potentially have hundreds if not thousands of sensors in your home, checking all the things that are important, right? Carbon monoxide, radon, whatever it is. All of those things can live inside the walls in small places. You don't have to have power outlets for all of them. And do it in such a way that you can have the confidence to know that your house is operating properly and that you're not just ignoring a water leak that's coming. In fact, you know that there isn't a water leak because of the coverage you have. But these sensors will apply to the globe, right? You have to imagine that retail stores will also want to know more about who's in their store and how it works, and offer you discounts because of whatever. All of those things will start to play together. And as you talk to things, as we think about the bigger picture of ambient computing, being able to talk to your own personal digital assistant, think of it like a human assistant, but digital, does all the things a human assistant could do. The more context they have, the more information that they can gather and be helpful with, the more beneficial it'll be to you, the human. So I think the speed and the access to the volumes of data that will be created are where 5G really comes into play here. But that's a much bigger picture story for a future time, I think. Rocky, can we apply to speak at the Voice Summit? The only information I have, I'm not involved in organizing that. It's a guy named Pete that runs that event, Pete Erickson. And if there's information on their website about applying to speak, then yes. And if there's not, then there's not. Dana Voice says early bird pricing is through August 31st. So maybe check the website for official timing on pricing and early bird pricing and all that kind of stuff. Brian Tarbox wants to know, is there such a thing as a group notification? Imagine I want to tell all my users that a game's schedule changed. No, I think you'd probably have to send them as individual notifications. Yeah. I don't think there's a spam blaster notification deal. Not that it would be called Spam Blaster, although that would be a cool API name. But I think for the most part, no, they're still individual notifications, but you would just batch through them when you needed to send something more broad. A Witter says progressive responses notifications have a multicast form where everyone subscribed to the event gets a notification. So I'm wrong. Perfect. So you can only notify users of certain events. You can't use free format text and speech. Cool. So that does exist, but it's in a limited form. Rocky says tech events shouldn't have business attire requirements. We work in PJs, sweats, t-shirts, and jumpsuits most of the day. He meant proactive events, not progressive responses. Proactive events. But Rocky, I agree with you. Tech events shouldn't have business attire requirements. I think you're referring to me wearing a suit. I was not at a tech event. I was there interviewing people that work at a very prestigious venue. That's why I was wearing a suit. If, however, you're looking at the Voice Summit website and they say that they have some sort of dress code, it is, you will meet CEOs there. You will meet a lot of folks that are running startups exclusively focused on voice, and you're going to see a lot of them at least a sport coat. So it's not required. And if you want to roll in there in sweatpants, I don't think they'll kick you out, but you may feel very out of place. My attire for something like that is usually a button down and a pair of jeans. That's about as dressed up as I get these days, unless I have to go to the Ascot. So I'm not sure the context of your question specifically, Rocky, but hopefully that helps. I have gotten to the end of the question list. We seem to do this. This is good. It feels like there's this huge wave of questions that comes in about the middle third of this broadcast. And then we kind of taper our way out as we get right to the end. So I have 5 minutes left. If there are other questions, I'm happy to take them. But this has been a fantastic discussion. Okay. Oh, and Data-Driven Skills says, don't forget, Project Voice 2023 already has its call for speakers. So I mentioned earlier that there are two big events that I recommend. One is Project Voice. The other is the Voice Summit. So Project Voice is generally held in Chattanooga in the spring. It's also a very good event. It attracts a very similar audience and is very, very cool. So, cool. You've given me a good way to sign off here. So Project Voice 2023, we talked about that, call for speakers. Yichi Zhang wants to know, I want to create a skill for recommending recipes for the elderly. What documentation or skill kit does Alexa Skills have? So my recommendation, if you have not built an Alexa skill before, would be to start. Where is it? I have a whole list of things. Start here. I'm assuming you're a developer of some kind. You're going to have to write some code to build an Alexa skill. But start here. This is a fantastic tutorial that will walk you through all the steps you need to build an Alexa skill. So that would be my number one recommendation, is give Cake Time a roll. It really gives you a good feel for what goes into building a skill. Thank you, Data Driven Skills. Thank you for the questions today. Gavin Watson said, you used the word blighty. I don't know that term, but I think what you mean is Britain or the UK or something along those lines. And I will say that I had a fantastic time. I felt very welcome. It was wonderful. It was one of those things that I got to spend 3 days in Paris and then a week in the UK. And in both places, you always hear stories about how Americans are kind of treated poorly, or especially the French are rude to them. And I didn't get that experience at all. So the people were wonderful and friendly and warm, especially the folks that I got to work with at the Ascot. I was just so thoroughly impressed, not just with the venue and the staff they had there, but we hired a whole bunch of contractors that were cameramen and microphone people and all sorts of other stuff. This is a very professional production we put together, and everybody was amazing. I was just thoroughly impressed. So sign me up. As soon as I can get back to the UK, I will, because I really had quite a good time. Lauren Louie on LinkedIn said, Jeff, how can we get in contact with you for questions offline? This is the thing that I was thinking we would share here at the end. And I know there's a couple other questions, so I'll get to them. But if you don't know this, Lori, we actually have a Slack community. And you can get there by going to alexa.design/Slack. You can sign up, create an account, jump right in. I checked yesterday. There were 2,666 people in this community at this point. And this is where the conversation is happening when we're not having office hours. So you can jump in there anytime, any day, and ask your questions. And you'll find that this community, the people that are here, and a much larger number of people that are there in Slack, are there to answer your questions. They're there to help. And there aren't dumb questions. If you are a beginner, say, hey, I'm a beginner. I'm trying to figure this thing out. What do you guys recommend? You'll be amazed at the kind of feedback that you get from people. It's really, really good. So with that, I guess I will say, Lauren, check out our Slack, join up, find us there. You can find me with my name there as well. But ask the group first. You'd be amazed at the help they can offer. Okay. Let's see. Rockalock says, sorry, I may have missed this earlier, but can you use the add to cart functionality with the shopping kit? I haven't verified that yet. I know that is something that's has been discussed, is not only add to cart, but also add to wish list. But off the top of my head, I do not know. It's in the docs, so it should be there. But just off the top of my head, I don't know. But we can dig into that pretty quickly. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Data Driven Skills provided a link directly to the add to cart flow. So the answer is yes. I just hadn't had a chance to bring up the link. And then Aryan also wants to know, this is the person that asked about the 5G earlier, how can we have a bigger impact on healthcare industry through conversational AI? We have an entire, section to our docs dedicated to things like HIPAA and healthcare. I would recommend doing a little reading there. I think you'll find that we have just type in Alexa Healthcare and you'll find our page related to that. But check that out. I think that'll give you a lot of insight on what we're looking for and where we're hoping to kind of take Alexa in the healthcare space. There's two sides to it. One is obviously patient care. The other side is more like what we call smart properties. So just having an Alexa device in every hospital room so that patients can ask for extra food or a nurse or whatever. That's kind of separate from like actual patient care, where I've even seen people suggesting that like in the surgery room, rather than having a doctor have to use his hands to touch a phone or something like that, using Alexa to actually get insight or advice or communications to other people, involved in that surgery if they're not on premises. So lots and lots of cool things there. Make sure to tune in next week. We have Ashish coming in from the AI Natural Understanding team. So this is from our Amazon Science side of the organization. And we're going to talk about Alexa conversations. So if you're not familiar with Alexa Conversations, it's another way to build skills that uses AI and machine learning to kind of help frame a lot of the dialogue that happens between your skill and your customer. But Ashish will be here to talk about all of that kind of stuff next week. So bring your Alexa Conversations questions, and we will see you in just about 7 days. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we will see you then. Bye-bye.